guys, this is Dave from Nigeria, and today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, a very interesting topic that most Manchester United fans have been worried about and very concerned about. So today we'll be talking about Manchester United defensive instability, and we'll get to bring out the reasons why United have been conceding too many goals, defensive problems. We're going to be highlighting them one after the other. So first of all, we understand that Erik ten Hag is a possession-based manager. He wants to play from the back. He wants to attract opposition press. He wants to beat the press, then transition into attack. So he wants centre-backs who can hold the ball, who can bring up play from the back, who can bring in midfielders into the game. He just wants to have the possession of the ball and dictate play. But we saw that last season. We saw Manchester United do that last season. They were really formidable with the centre-back pairing of Lisandro Martinez, Varane and Luke Shaw. We saw United kept the highest number of clean sheets last season. So they were brilliant at doing that. But this season, United have been faced with a whole lot of injury crisis. No one is denying that fact. Injury is one of the reasons why United has been conceding too many goals, because we know the personnel Erik ten Hag has been using to play these games. We see how they play these games. We see they don't fit into his philosophy of football, of keeping the possession. So we have the likes and personnel of Maguire, Lindelof and Johnny Evans. We've seen different combinations at the back. Sometimes you see a Lindelof-Maguire combination. Sometimes you see Johnny Evans and Maguire combination. So all these components are one of the reasons why the cohesion, the structure, the coordination at the back, we've not been able to see it, because these centre-backs are trying to adapt to each other, understand the gameplay between one another. So this is one major reason why United has been conceding too many goals this season. Then we understand that Erik ten Hag wants to keep the possession and bring in players. Now, this personnel he brings in to replace the injured players, they do not have the confidence, they do not have the ability to hold on to possession for a very long time. The likes of Maguire, the likes of Lindelof, their passing range, the passing abilities, the ability to stay and keep the ball under pressure, the ability to beat opposition press. We've not been able to see all of that this season, and that's largely because of the personnel available to play those positions and replace the injured players. So that was one of the reasons we've been conceding too many goals this season. So another reason why United has been conceding too many goals this season is the individual errors in most of our games. So in some games you see United 2 goals up and all of a sudden United are behind, and you ask yourself, how is this possible? Like, you're 2 goals up in the first half, and in the second half you're 3-2 down. So we've seen that several times in the UEFA Champions League, where we've been conceding too many goals. In the UEFA Champions League, we've conceded 14 goals. In the Premier League, we've conceded 16 goals. Now, individual errors also attribute to the reasons why Manchester United has been conceding too many goals. Now, I give example. In the game against Galatasaray, the first leg, we saw Diego Dalot. He had the opportunity to clear his lines. He didn't clear his lines, and then the Galatasaray players scored and equalized that game. And then the second leg against Galatasaray, we saw Onana making silly mistakes. He sets your wall a free kick, 2 times free kick, you can't clear your lines, and then you are conceding from cheap goals. So individual errors has formed bulk of the goals we've conceded this season. And then you also see our midfielders and defenders not being able to pick up their markers. Like, for example, we saw the Arsenal game. Eriksen was supposed to pick up Odegaard at the edge of the 18-yard box, but he was sloppy. He wasn't picking up Odegaard, and somehow Odegaard equalized in that game immediately after we scored. So we've been having midfielders who do not pick up their markers. We have defenders who do not clear their lines. Diego Dalot again committed the same mistake against Copenhagen. You saw how Copenhagen equalized in the UEFA Champions League. So we've been making individual errors, and this has been attributing to us conceding too many goals this season. Now, the third reason why we've been conceding too many goals is lack of coordination and the inability for our defensive midfielders to actually come into the game. Now, this season, we've not seen our defensive midfielders playing football. We've not seen them come into the game, control the game, hold on to play, and bring in other central midfielders into the game. We've not seen them transition from defense to attack. I think the only time we saw a difference this season was the game against Everton, where Maino came in, and we saw how brilliant Maino was. Maino coordinated the centre back. He was there receiving those passes from Maguire, Lindelof. He made sure he was available to receive those passes. He made sure he was available to spread those passes, switch off play. And we saw his contribution in the first goal that Garnacho scored, because he collected the ball from the midfield. He sent it to Lindelof, and Lindelof found a long ball to Rashford to Diego Dalot, and Dalot straight to Garnacho, and we saw that beautiful goal. So Maino was able to control the defensive midfield position. He was able to coordinate the central backs. He was able to clear up his lines. We saw so many interceptions. We saw so many tackles. We saw him in the game, and we saw how brilliant he performed. And we were able to keep a clean sheet in that match. We were able to score 3 goals for the first time in the Premier League. Normally, we only score with 1 goal margin, but that day we saw United win the game with 3 goals margin and a clean sheet. So that is how important the role of a defensive midfielder is in Erik ten Hag's style of play. So Erik ten Hag wants a defensive midfielder who can build into the game, come into the game, pick up those passes from the back, get into the midfield, give those line-breaking passes. We saw Maino do that again in the game against Everton, those long line-breaking passes. That is the central role of the defensive midfielder Erik ten Hag wants. But this season, we've not been able to see our defensive midfielders do that. Casemiro has not been the Casemiro we know this season. Amrabat has not been able to settle down into the team. McTominay, when he plays that position, sometimes he doesn't give us what we expect in that position. So for the very first time, we saw how a typical defensive midfielder ought to play under Erik ten Hag. That was the game against Everton. We saw Maino did a very brilliant job in that game. And so this is one of the reasons why United has been conceding too many goals. To crown it up, here are the highlights of what our defensive problem has been this season. So we talked about injuries to our personnel, the personnel we have in placing our players. We talked about individual errors, and we also talked about the defensive midfield role and the lack of coordination at the back 4. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you enjoyed this, you can always subscribe to our channel. So thank you very much for listening.